Hey guys, my name is Thomas Scott. I've got a story today that will probably strike a knowing chord within many of my readers. We all know that aging is not exactly a slow process, particularly when it comes to areas in the sexual field. As we age, our testosterone levels drop, our hair starts to fall out, and even our own manhood starts to turn on us. We have a cute name for our bedroom failings, erectile dysfunction, but there are no words for how gutted we feel when we disappoint the special woman in our lives. Losing the ability to get it up and pleasure your significant other is a tragedy that many men face in their lives, and so it is obvious why Big Pharma and the world of alt medicine tries to take advantage of these victims. The cures you've been promised are a lie. The first thing most men will do when they start to struggle with erectile dysfunction is lie to themselves. They'll think that perhaps they are just tired, or maybe their partner is doing something that they don't like. Eventually, they'll have to face the truth. There is a problem here. The next big truth that we, myself included, will have to face is this. The cures that are paraded to you are likely a lie or, at the very least, come at a huge expense. Research has extensively been done by places like Columbia University, as well as a variety of Ivy League schools, and they've all come to the same conclusion. ED has nothing to do with your dropping testosterone. The next logical step to make is that all of those expensive drugs that Big Pharma pushes for ED are a lie. They aren't treating what is actually causing your ED. This was a hard truth for me to wake up to, and one I had to wrestle with for a long time. In this video, you are going to learn how I found the cure to my ED while avoiding these common scams. Viagra, a drug that ruins your heart while avoiding the root cause of ED. Low T therapy, an expensive option, $2,000 a treatment that is minimally effective. Instead, I found my way to an all-natural cure that gave me the ability to get and maintain full, long-lasting erections essentially on demand. If this sounds too good to be true, well, let's just say that miracles do exist, and this one could save your marriage or relationship. If you are worried or have been told that you are too old, too weak, or too out of practice to have an enjoyable sex life with full erections, then you have been lied to. Keep reading to learn about my life-changing program. I'll talk you through the science, my deductive reasoning, and the research that led me to this breakthrough. Before I leap into the program, let's hear from a few of the 96,000 plus men who have already seen their lives changed. Mark P. from Gulf Breeze, Florida, wrote in to say, I was devastated when I saw how hurt my wife was at our failing sex life. I had tried all of the drugs, all of the therapy, and all of the alternative medicine that I could think of. Nothing worked to cure my ED. I had been spending hundreds of dollars a month on pharmaceutical erectile dysfunction drugs, and I was seeing no results. But then I found your guide, and I read your methods. Mr. God, I saw a change in my sex life seemingly overnight. My ability to gain an erection came back, and my sex life took off again. I felt like I was back in my 30s all over again. From the bottom of my heart, and my wife's as well, thank you. Raymond M. from Virginia Beach, Virginia, also chimed in. For the better part of the past 2 years, my wife and I have been miserable. Our sex life seemingly tanked overnight. I couldn't get an erection or maintain one when I did, and my wife quickly began to take it personal. She was afraid that I was losing interest in her and that I wanted to be with someone else. I tried everything I could to make her feel better and that it was my fault, but nothing worked. So then I started loading up on herbal extracts and pharmaceuticals from the doctor. I even went online to talk about my problem on message boards. That's how I came to find your guide. I didn't believe it at first. How could there be an all-natural ED cure when so many other popular methods had failed? Still, for my wife, I decided to give it a try. I'm so glad I did. I quit taking all of those pills and focused instead on your extensive guide. Within a couple of days, I could see and feel results, as could my wife, if you catch my drift. You're a hero, Thomas. Keep spreading the word to guys like me everywhere. I hit rock bottom and decided to change my life. Now, you are probably getting curious about the actual cure that I'm talking about, aren't you? Well, I'll get to that in a moment because first I want to tell you what brought me to looking so hard for it myself. You and I both know how painful it can be to know that your unit doesn't work like it should, but you don't realize how bad things are until you see it hurt the person you love. This is my story. I turned 50 years old back in 2010 and decided that I wanted to surprise my wife with a special night. We had been talking for weeks about how to make my 50th birthday special. Things had gotten a little rocky over the past year or so as I began to struggle more and more in the bedroom. We thought of this birthday as a way to sort of, well, mentally reset. Maybe I just needed a big boost in confidence. So I decided to head home early from work and surprise her. I stopped at the local gardening store and bought a bouquet of flowers. Earlier that day, I had gotten my hair cut just the way she liked it. On the whole, I was feeling really great about myself. That all changed when I got home. Now, I know what you are probably thinking. She was cheating on me, right? That's wrong. What happened hurt more, if that's possible. I walked into the house, quietly, with my flowers at the ready. Instead of hearing her music playing, like she does when she works on the house, it was almost dead silent. I heard soft talking coming from the bedroom mixed in with sobs of my wife crying. At first I was alarmed, until I heard what she was saying. She was on the phone with her best friend, we'll call her Mary, talking about me. More specifically, she was talking about my ED. She was telling Mary how much she loved me and how much it hurt that I couldn't perform anymore. She felt like I was either cheating on her or simply falling out of love. To make things worse, and even more hurtful to me, she said 6 words I'll never forget. I'm just not fulfilled anymore, sexually. She went on to tell Mary he can't perform anymore in bed. He never wants to have sex, and when he does, we end up stopping because of his erection problem. What am I supposed to do? I still love him so much. I froze in my steps, my face rigid and locked in shock. My wife, the woman who I had loved for the past 20+ years, was in the midst of giving up on me. She was telling her best friend about how unfulfilled I made her. She was admitting to all of my sexual shortcomings. I felt like a dagger was going in and out of my chest. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to fall over. But I didn't fall over. I fled. I left the house, tossing the flowers in the garbage bin by the garage before driving back to my office. I sat there at my desk and bawled my eyes out. Not only had I been emasculated in front of Mary, I had also been faced with the harsh truth of my wife's current life. She was tearing apart, and I wasn't doing anything to help her. Back in my office, crying my eyes out, I heard some of her words echo in my ear. She talked about how good it felt when other men hit on her, even though she would never reciprocate. She loved me and was loyal to me. Still, she knew deep down inside that she was a beautiful woman, and the problem resided in me. She knew that my failing sex drive was the root cause of our marital problems. I feared that she would eventually grow tired of being so good to me. I feared that she would seek out a man with a real sex drive, someone who could satisfy her in ways that I just wasn't anymore. I wasn't always like this. Knowing that you need to change and actually finding out how to change are 2 entirely different concepts. Still, I knew that I had to start somewhere, so I began researching. I didn't want my wife to leave me, and I didn't want to have her trapped in a sex-free relationship that made her feel imprisoned and unwanted. I wasn't surprised that my lack of sex drive was a problem. I had tried ED pills for the past year or so with mostly negative results. I had to pay almost $8 per dose, which resulted in hundreds spent every single month and thousands thrown away every single year. I couldn't afford that, and even if I could, the results weren't good. I felt shame buying the pills, and I felt more shame when they didn't work. This problem wasn't always an issue for me. When I was in my 20s, I could get up for anything, so to speak. My girlfriend and I would be ready anytime, any place, and there would be no issues. I loved being able to have sex multiple times a day and more. I loved that I enjoyed it, and I didn't look at the act with dread. But somehow along the way, I went from this total stud in my 20s to this complete dud in my 50s. Now, I'm not delusional. I know that things change as you get older, but I'm not on my deathbed yet, not at just 50. So, in between bouts of shame and depression, I found enough anger in me to force myself to find a solution for my erectile dysfunction. The search for a cure to my erectile dysfunction began. If I thought that having erectile dysfunction was embarrassing, just imagine how I felt when I turned into an ED studying fanatic. All I did in my free time was read up on how Viagra and low-T therapy worked. I read about herbal extracts that supposedly helped you get sexually active again. I read anything, everything. I lurked message boards, combed through scientific journals, and even called up various medical professionals to get information. I did this all in secret. I didn't want my wife to know that I had heard her hurtful comments. Sex is a vital part of your relationship, no matter what anyone says. Sex gives you and your girl a way to feel closer than ever, to feel intimate, and to strengthen your love for one another. Sex allows you to show just how wild and good she makes you feel. Sex was what was going to save my marriage. With that resolve, I dug deep into my research. I found out that low testosterone was not a valid reason for erectile dysfunction. In fact, I found out that only 5% of all ED cases were the result of low T. Trust me, I tried the $250 testosterone injections. I spent thousands of dollars to go through a treatment cycle. Nothing worked. Testosterone wasn't my issue. Besides, taking the injections, I was also putting myself at risk of some serious and terrifying side effects. Throat irritation, seizures, tendon ruptures, bloody urine, muscular weakness, quivering, nerve disease, ulcers, arthritis, hearing loss, stomach pain, and more. So low testosterone treatment was thrown out the window. What was next to look at? Next, I read that going to the gym could help you to get back into the swing of things in your sex life. I read that cardio helped you get blood flowing and that was important to having a highly functioning erection. So I started running and cycling. When I felt better about my activity level and my body, my erection problems were still there. This was not my cure. I found something that would save my marriage on demand. What I needed, more than anything else, was a fix that would help our sex life going forward forever. I didn't need a temporary night of passion fueled by expensive Viagra pills. I wanted something natural that could work almost on demand. I had to save my marriage. I had to save myself. I was already terrified that she wanted to cheat on me. I would almost be relieved, actually, because then I would have anger to replace my deepening sorrow. Yet, in my darkest moment, I found a cure. This cure would go on to help more than 95,000 people across the country with startling results. Before I tell you about my incredible program, I need to talk to you about the science behind it. A cure is at your fingertips, but you need to understand it before you can employ it. Erectile dysfunction isn't this hard to understand problem. Basically, your penis has a pair of chambers inside of it. Running the length of that organ is the corpora cavernosa, which utilizes a network of blood vessels that open up, fill with blood, and allow your erection to take shape. It's that simple. The cause to your erectile dysfunction is simple. The blood vessels in your penis aren't relaxing completely, and you aren't getting the blood flow to get your erection. That's it. Big Pharma wants you to believe that there is some complex science going on behind the scenes, but this isn't the case at all. Alternative medicine was not the cure, modern biology was. Discovering that I needed a simple solution to blood flow made me more excited than ever to get my wife back in bed. I decided to try meditation, ancient Eastern medicines, and even some weird herbal extract I found on the internet. Nothing worked, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was getting close. So I shifted my focus to modern biology, and I found a startling truth. Enzymes, amino acids, and a variety of other all-natural chemicals could be the key to getting my sex life back. Study after study had proven that these different elements led to relaxed blood vessels, an increase in blood volume, and a prevalence of erection ability. This was research I could latch onto. So I decided, that night, to begin eating a variety of different foods and supplements that had the correct combinations of amino acids and special enzymes. I had been sitting in my study, going through my notebook full of combinations, when I found that I was suddenly rock hard. Rock hard. I felt like I was 20 again. I went running out of my study, down the hall, and into the bedroom where my wife had been reading a book. At first, she was alarmed. What was wrong with me? But then she saw the look in my eye and knew that I was ready to go, to be intimate, to relive those glory days from our youth. And we did, again and again that day. I felt like the clock had turned back. That night, in the glow of what we had just done, she started to cry. She was so relieved. She thought that I was tired of her. So I told her what I had been doing. I told her about my studying, my experiments, and my focus to become a real man for her again. The cure is now at your fingertips. As you can see, I went through the ups and downs of what it was like to experience sexual failure at a time when my wife needed me the most. The most important thing to remember, however, was that I had made it to the other side. I had found an all-natural cure. That was what sparked me to create this simple guide, and that was what sparked me to start spreading the word with this website. My first thought was to sell this guide to Big Pharma and to try and make my fortune. But I knew that there was no way it would get off the ground. Medical professionals don't want affordable, natural cures that can be found in your local supermarket. There is no money there. So instead, I've turned directly to the people struggling. Almost 100,000 men have already seen the truth of my cure, and they've done it seemingly overnight, spending less than $20 at the grocery store to get back into action. The guide focuses on supplements and foods that have all of the correct biological elements that you need in order to relax your big guy downstairs while allowing for maximum blood flow. If you thought that ED was a problem before, get ready for the problem of having too many erections. Your wife will have to really work on her cardio. The ED protocol is specialized for you. No cure is one size fits all, so I've created a program that can be tailored for your exact needs. Thankfully, everything in here is based on science, is completely natural, and is completely free of side effects. Best of all, there is a 100% chance that you will see improvement in your sex life within 24 to 48 hours, for the rest of your life. Once the program starts to change how your blood vessels relax, your body adapts to it for life. I urge you to keep up with the program, but you can scale it back as you see results if you like. Say goodbye to $2,000 in monthly low T treatments, expensive Viagra, as well as those terrifying medicinal side effects, heart failure, cancer, and seizures. Columbia University, one of the most prestigious schools in the world, has already shown that these aren't the best ways to address ED. So, go ahead and spend $299 on a low T treatment if you feel like that's what you need. But just know that I have the ED protocol for just a single investment purchase of $67. For me, helping others cure their ED is more than just making money on my extensive research. I remember the depression and the rock bottom pit I fell into when I heard my wife crying in the other room. I remember having nightmares that my wife would leave me or cheat on me. I remember that fear in my gut every single time a customer emails me thanking them for help. I'm doing this as much for me as I am to help prevent other men from feeling that pit in their stomach. The Erectile Dysfunction Protocol. To begin changing your life, all you need to do is click on the Add to Order button below my presentation. From there, you will be guided through a checkout process that puts a life-changing cure into your hands. Your purchase will be discreet. The name on your bill won't give you away. Once you've completed these basic steps, you will be delivered the entire ED protocol program instantly. From there, you can use the program instantly. Put it on your phone, your tablet, your computer. Print out copies for your friends if you know that they are struggling. To sweeten the cake even more, I'm giving you a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. If for any reason the guide doesn't work for you, then contact me at the email address listed in the guide and you will be refunded with no questions asked. I'm taking the risk here, and I'm doing it so that you can live a better life. A final summary. 1. How does this guide work? Using scientific research and advances in our understanding of biology, I've created a guide that caters to helping expand the blood vessels that your penis needs to relax and grow. When you struggle with ED, these vessels don't relax and the blood doesn't get where it needs to go. My guide combats those problems. I've taken to supplements and common foods backed by science to fix this issue. 2. What all is in the guide? With the ED protocol, you will get a detailed and exact list of essential enzymes, proteins, amino acids, and other organic chemicals that cater to your problem. You'll get a list of common foods from the supermarket that help your body to create and maintain erections. You'll also be given instructions on how to modify the guide until it is perfect for your needs. 3. When do results kick in? After purchasing the guide, you'll be shown all of the components listed above. You can put the guide to work within the next 5 minutes, and you should see results within 48 hours. Just imagine the routine of going to the doctor, getting a prescription, waiting in line at the pharmacy, and dealing with the shame on the eyes of the people around you. Wouldn't you rather just go to the grocery store and buy some delicious food to help your problem? The ED protocol is yours with just a click of a button.